reminiscing on the good times. I'm turning off from real life driving, that's right. I'm hitting easy street on mud tires.
And I'm feeling like $1 million. Stacked up all $100 bills. Got a whole 6-pack on ice, but I'm riding on the hottest wheel. Seat back and I'm curving, swerving. With my pedal to the metal like I'm racing. Turn it up and let the speakers scream for Mr. Aldine, but I call him Jason. Reminiscing on the good times. Water balloons, super soakers. Wet t-shirts, women in bikinis. Kenny Rogers, penny loafers. Smoke blowing out the window. And all my problems aside. Just feel that summer breeze. Lay back, kick it and enjoy the ride.
I'm chilling on the dirt road. Laid back, swerving like I'm George Jones. Smoke rolling out.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Wellbeing Podcast on this somewhat cold afternoon in Austin, Texas. I am your host, Scott Frost, along with my co-host,
Sumer Basine.
Back and together. Whatever. Back together in action, maybe something like that. To bring to you guys another show. We were just remarking how we think that the new kind of, I think where music is heading is going to be combining country and rap. And I said that I don't know, however long ago I first heard the Dirt Road Anthem remix with Ludacris on it. With Jason Aldean, and I was like, this is totally where music's gonna head. It's got such a really cool flow, and it's much more chill than all the other sort of hip hop remixes, but it gives this sort of dynamic to country. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Wasn't there a song with Florida Georgia Line and Nelly? What was it called?
Oh yeah, there was.
Forget the name of it.
Yeah, but that kind of follows up in suit.
Baby, you a song. That's how it goes.
Oh,
make me wanna ride. I forget. Roll my windows down.
And cruise.
There it is.
Cruise.
Then Nelly comes in.
Nelly likes to cruise. He hasn't cruised in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So he's coming back. But anyway, so today I walked in and I asked him, I was like, what do you want to talk about? And he was like, everything. I was like, sounds like you have a lot on your mind. So where do you want to start? I don't even know what he's going to say to preface this. So this is totally this is going to be interesting on my part.
Well, first I wanted to see how you were doing, man. I feel like we see each other like once in a blue moon. So what's going on in your life? I know this freaking Masters is killing you. So tell me about it. Where are you with that, and where are we heading with that?
Okay.
Fill me in.
Well, it's weird. We see each other at least every Thursday right now. We see like once a week, but
Feels forever, though.
it does feel forever. And we were hanging out a lot more when I wasn't getting in crunch time to finish my my thesis for my master's and for you to open a business.
Yeah.
And but we'll pick that up soon. But yeah, my master's is it's focusing on kind of repurposing some of the neurologic and testing tools that look at like trail making, short-term memory, executive function with some of the standardized executive function tests and reaction time. And we're using it with an iPad program to take these measures. But then it's also been combined with balance measures, which we still take with the iPad, measuring sway by basically hooking up the iPad to someone's back with a harness. And then we have added some functional performance measures, single leg hop for distance, 3. So you are on one single leg and you're on one leg and you do a triple hop. So 3 hops for distance, and we compare the difference between the 2 legs. The other 2 measures are a crossover hop. So you have a 5-meter hop, and you're supposed to cross over a number of times back and forth across basically a 20-centimeter line and a diagonal, doing it as fast as possible. So you have to clear the distance going back and forth and basically try and cover it in time. And then our last test is a figure 8 hop. So on one leg, 2 cones, 5 meters apart. And on one leg, you hop around you hop from the one cone and do a figure 8 around it and come back, and it's for time. So what we're doing is we're using these measures to kind of, there's this, my advisor likes to talk about this like gray segment of the population where they're getting left behind, right? Where they're not really quite low performing enough, motor development wise or even cognitively to be classified, but they're also not performing well enough that, that we really can put them directly into sports. That we know that all the benefits that sports have, right? We know them cognitively, we know them socially, creating better social skills, leadership skills. Athletes have better grades in general. Obviously motor development, developing healthy lifestyles and wellness. So there's these massive benefits to getting children involved in sports. But on the flip side of that, we're throwing kids into sports who are vastly underprepared, right, to handle the demands of sports. And we're seeing a lot of just physical problems and injuries because we don't really have a systemized system. We don't have a system of movement training in this country where we're really training children to move well. We're really throwing them into sports and being like, hey, figure it out. And so I am actually really excited about the eventual prospects of this type of work, in the long-term sense that we're trying to establish some normatives between the developmental population, developmentally delayed population, so kids on the spectrum like autistic spectrum, high-functioning autistics, Asperger's, and some of the other sort of on-the-edge kids, but who are still classified. And then the children who are performing well in schools, and then trying to capture that middle and see if we can quantify, where they sit. Is there a way to actually quantify it? And if you can come up with a with a continuum, you then can identify, well, where is it that we're really losing these kids, that we can encourage parents that based on their testing scores that these children need some extra movement preparation. They need movement training. They need, extra like a class, or they need to investigate programs that are going to prepare their children as like a half step into sports.
That's really cool because I think even when I was going to middle school, high school, movement education, actually there wasn't anything called movement education. It was physical education, PE. It was just us running around and playing dodgeball, I guess. That's what we did for PE. So it's kind of cool to see that there are these emerging technologies to help us understand movement. And I think it should be called movement and health education. I think it's crucial because I think what people value a lot of the times are getting a career, becoming prestigious, and having a family and settling down. But we go through school without ever learning the amazing potential and capacity of our human bodies. And I think that's kind of a crazy thought to think about it. What do you think?
Oh, I 100% agree. I've actually been reflecting on some similar things with just coming to the end of this master's, that one of my all-time favorite quotes of anybody is by Mark Twain, and he said, I never let my schooling get in the way of my education. And oftentimes we preach to, I was preached to as a child, you go to school, you get a degree, and then you get a job, and it's like, for what? Mm-hmm. Right? And even in this master's, I knew coming into it. So I knew coming into it, seeking advice from other people and from my older siblings, that I wasn't going to really learn substantially more than I was already acquiring knowledge on my own, right? The books are there, the knowledge is there. You can acquire knowledge to the degree that you're passionate about, but that really you're kind of paying for a network when you do a master's. But in the case of doing a master's of science and really doing a lot of research work, I've come up with a network, and also not really learn substantially more information, but really scientific thought, scientific research protocol, the way to conduct and evaluate good research. And I do think that'll actually serve me immensely well, because it does give you a way to translate the literature for everyone else. But as a part of doing this study, what I enjoy about it is that we're looking at the influence of other cognitive features, right? So like, where do kids who have troubles with reaction time, do they have troubles with these functional tests? Do these kids who have executive function problems, are they going to struggle on a figure 8 hop? Because there's a strategic, you have to process strategically, what's the fastest way for me to hop around this cone without falling, right? There's sort of this this strategy component that you have to navigate, not just the course, but navigate your own skill level, right? Because what you might be able to handle skill-wise might not be the fastest strategy. Like, are you going to go for a riskier strategy that you may not be prepared for? Or are you going to go for a strategy that's more within yourself but might take you a little longer, but you're not going to fall? There are all these sort of measures, right? So I'm really fascinated to see how it's all going to flush out. Plus, being able to measure these things in the field with an iPad is pretty... you might as well have broken the iPad over my head and knocked me out, because it's such a cool concept. Because I've spent the last 2 years, so this is like 2.5 of my master's. This last half year has really been about transitioning to in the field recording with an iPad. But the last 2 years in a very advanced lab with 12 3D motion capture cameras surrounding the room, like a $500,000 lab, EMG, which is does muscle, it's electromyography, which measures the activation of muscles, so like what muscles are turning on, force plates. There's just massive amounts of technology, but it's so cumbersome and it's so limited that you really are... I think science is really cutting itself off at the balls. And some of these new ventures are coming out and being like, hey, we can at least get good data. And if we can do it on an iPad, you can set it up, you can have them record it, and we don't have as much error introduced by the administrator. So there's some cool stuff going on there, but it's definitely coming into crunch time, because I have till December 5th to wrap everything up and just get my pieces submitted. So that's what's been going on with me. I also ended up doing a segment on Sunday. We shot a video for Psych Truth, PSYCHE, right? There's an E there. Psych Truth, YouTube channel. They're the #1 rated health and wellness channel on YouTube. And they have over 700,000, I think almost 800,000 subscribers. So myself and CP, who I think we're actually going to have on as a guest soon, who's invented the Mobo system, went over there and we shot some simple videos just to help kind of people in their home just start with things to get them well. She recorded a video on improving your arches and your arch strength, just by doing something very simple at home with a pen and a penny, and to alleviate back pain through improving posture. And I recorded something on turning on your hamstrings to support what's happening at the arch. So it was really cool, just being able to reach out and help people around the world who I never imagined I would help, people who might have trouble standing up out of their chair or things like that. But you were on a film set, I guess, or what the hell is going on? You're like, I was in another movie. What?
So I was, speaking of being on a film set, I was acting for this movie my friend was shooting for South by Southwest. It's a big festival, music and film festival here in Austin. And I hadn't seen this guy in probably 2 or 3 years, and he randomly calls me up and is like, "Well, what's going on, man? Can you help me out with this movie?" And I was like, "Sure." And so it's why not?
You're gonna lift his stuff?
Yeah.
It's like, I lift heavy things.
Yeah. And so he wanted me to play this very formidable, like, boss, playboy, asshole character. which was very different from my norm, and it was kind of a good break from pursuing the gym. And I had a lot of good time with it.